America, have located some of these rare earth minerals out west?
Yeah, you have a couple of organizations that are publicly traded. You've got Mountain Pass Mines, you have U.S. Rare Earths. Those are mines that are processing hard rock to yield oxides from them. There are a couple of different processes to do that. Then there's ionic clay, which is a more efficient process. Neither of them are those, but they have engendered an effort to do what we're doing in a different way. We've decided that we're going to find a domestic offtake through industrial waste as a feedstock for one side of it, reprocessing spent magnets is another side of it, but also building a refinery that's going to be agnostic to process any offshore mine that's not China or one of these others that have offtake but need a place to downstream recycle it in. We're also going to be doing that. So there's 3 phases to our project. Phase 1, recycling. Phase 2, refining and separation. And phase 3, a technology and research center in partnership with Oak Ridge and hopefully UT and others to develop new and sustaining further technologies to refine and make supply of rare earth oxides more available here. So, you know, we're really taking it on to do this over the next 3 to 5 years here in this region. If we had 10 other companies doing it, it still wouldn't be a surprise. It's that big.
What's the biggest source of the magnets that you'll be looking to do recycling?
Well, the biggest source of the magnets to recycle are those that are coming from the industries that are using them now. They have to have a cyclical solution. For instance, in the EV vehicles that are out there now, when those vehicles reach their useful life end, different than combustion engine vehicles, you can roll them into a used car lot and sell them. These cars have batteries that there still hasn't been a solution for what happens to them at the end of their useful life. So what we're going to be endeavoring to do is to create bespoke market opportunities by recycling and repatriating those spent magnets back to useful magnets and then yielding the oxides from it and selling it back to the market. So then you have the entire defense complex up there, which has absolutely no solution for their spent magnets. So that's another market opportunity for us as well to recycle.
But you'll be recycling permanent magnets versus electromagnets. Is that factual?
Permanent magnets as opposed to what?
As opposed to electromagnets. Like in my MR, that, well, this one actually has some permanent magnets in it.
Well, you probably have oxides in whatever you're speaking of. Your cell phones have a level of oxide. Every kind of industrial product has some level of rare earth oxides in it, except very few have heavy rare earth oxides. It's the heavy rare earth oxides that
The key to this.
huge. Terbium, dysprosium, those kind.
Interesting.
It's very rare that a business, a startup business, can put together a consortium of federal government. Congressman Chuck Flashman serves on the subcommittee for energy, chairs it. There's been no small player
No, sir.
in making this happen. The Department of Energy has been a key player and will continue to be a key player in this operation. You've got the academic world involved through the University of, I think the University of Tennessee is signing on some now, Texas Tech University I think is involved also. it's and then you got the private sector, then you got the research world through the National Laboratory, which is a key research. I've got one of the best research labs in the world. A lot of players coming to the table on this to make this happen. And then we've been fortunate to have a community that has census tract, as he mentioned, a city of Carroll with property available, and has worked hand in hand with these gentlemen and their associates to make this happen. And it's just a great opportunity. And did you touch some on what kind of wage structure might be out there? Did you do that earlier?
On which structure?
You know, as far as employees, what kind of wage structure?
Yeah, so these are scientific related kind of jobs. The staff doesn't have to be all scientists, but the average wage is probably going to be about $60,000. And we're endeavoring to create 187 jobs on this, 182 jobs on phase 1. And that could change, but we're hoping it changes for an increased side of work.
They be certified bachelor degree in science.
Well, necessarily. Some of them could be trade professionals that are going to be necessary for aspects of the recycling process. And, Dr. Wright and I, we chide each other about our educations. Our school is a sports school at Ohio State. It's a reasonable school. I went to historically black college at Southern University. I did my graduate work at Harvard Business School and my postgraduate work at Oxford. They roughed me up with that. So, as if I had to have somebody pick them. But we model ourselves as just determined, humble executives, motley in most cases. And seemingly, the older we get, we recognize how motley we actually are. So we want to hurry up and make sure that we get the right team of professionals that we can pass on, and that's happening. Of course, now we're going to be looking in very short term to bring in real, serious, expert professional on the ground here in this region that knows these molecules and knows how to launch these projects and advance them, and then continue to use our own business skills to build these relationships even further, to create a compelling narrative that we are going to be an important company with a national solution that just happens to be in this area, bringing a lot of time and attention to this area for a lot of other things. We see growth in Carrollville and surrounding area that they have not seen, just like West Tennessee did when Ford went there and decided to do that plant, and all of a sudden you could have bought that land at one time was less than $1,500 an acre. You'd be lucky to get it for $30,000 an acre now, if there's any of it even left. So we think that we're going to have a similar serious impact as this continues to grow and evolve, and we continue to make the right strategic decisions to get out of the way to make sure that we have the right team members on the ground to advance the project.
Sheriff bought the remaining balance of the, as we discussed in our last meeting, of the Carroll Industrial Park up there. I think there's maybe 3 or 4 acres left somewhere up there in the park. And for those of you who weren't here at our last meeting, we're going to get in this a little bit later, which means years are here, but the property that joins that industrial park, I can tell you tonight that it looks like we're clear to hurdles now for 195 acres to be handed, put in the hands of the Industrial Development Board through Mike Madrigal and his partners' efforts to develop his industrial property. Because folks, what's going to happen when this thing goes? It might not be the first year or the second year or the third year, you're gonna see satellite business pop up around.
All
it.
kinds of businesses.
You're gonna see all kinds of supported commercial business pop up around it. It's gonna be a catalyst. And we're gonna need the property up there and the ability and the infrastructure to support that. So we'll have a brief discussion on that later tonight. But I just wanted to bring that out that, you know, what he's doing, what they're doing is enormous. And from the standpoint of where we sit today with what we have, what can join up as a result of it, could be extremely important to the economic growth of our county.
And I might add that Mike Malacott we'd selected him to be on builder for the project phase 1. So,
You know he builds out of straw.
so, that then reminds me of right up our alley in some ways. And I can remember, I heard the story about when the Kennedys, Jack and his brother, they won the presidency back at that time, and they were even astonished. So him and Bobby were in the Oval Office for the first time, and they looked at each other, and Jack said, you know, I can't believe we're in here. And Bobby said supposedly to him, you're right, we better get out of here before somebody realizes. That's how Bob and I feel sometimes. Get this project going. I hope he doesn't build out a store, but I'm not sure. But he's a great builder, and he actually has some of Oak Ridge's
Yes.
facilities that he built out in town. So
He'll do an outstanding job.
he will, and there are other.
A good man, a good company, and
He sure is.
a good company.
And there'll be other professional, we're gonna be using indigenous, local professionals as often as we can, and as much as we can to do some of the key direct and indirect work. Like Tim and his firm and others. So, you know, we got a lot of work to do, but it's underway. And that's what's most important. And the two of us are probably the most unassuming guys that would be doing something so impacting that would disrupt China. Then, so, you know, sometimes it's not a bad thing to be as motley as we actually are.
Yeah, if you're so unassuming, why'd you show up here the first time with that big H on your foot?
Well, you know, sometimes you just gotta let folks know.
I used to have some assistant guys who worked for me.
Well, you know, what can I say? We're really honored to be here and we're thankful that the community and leadership.
I got tired of appointments this afternoon. I was planning on having something orange with a T on it for you to take back with you.
Ms. Gladys wants me to bring this in.
Oh, I'll have to deliver that. My wife hadn't found out about me.